Hello and welcome to Talking Tech episode 4. Unfortunately today Craig is out, so I am Dom and I am taking the reins, hence the title, Dom Takes the Reins. We have Mark up in Scotland and we also have Chris. Say hi guys.
Alright.
Hello.
So, as I said, unfortunately Craig is out today. So this will probably be a shorter podcast. Who actually knows? I could waffle on as much as he could. So let's start that again. We've got a couple of topics, and afterwards we're going to talk about the devices we have in for review. And we've actually got a question. So usually Craig does this now. I'm going to try at the end and see what happens. So I think sometimes it goes a bit long. So the first one is the Chromebit. So earlier in, I think it was March, when we saw the Chromebook Flip, we saw the Asus C201, we saw this Chromebit, which looks like a small HDMI stick. You plug it into a TV or a monitor, you give it external power and a Bluetooth and mouse, and it's a Chrome OS laptop on a stick. Now, this has come out at $85 in the US, which roughly translates to, I think it's about 55 or 60 quid. If
55.88.
There you go. Thank you, Chris. If it actually comes out at that price, I will be extremely happy. Like, I want this thing. Even though we were speaking before, there is an incredibly annoying thing about it. And Mark, what is that incredibly annoying thing?
Well, for some reason that escapes me, and presumably is only known to Asus, the power connector. They have decided that apparently micro USB, the cable that is used all across the world, or it's just about to be replaced actually by this new one called USB 3, and it can generate even more power. Yeah, they've decided not to do any of that, and they've decided to pretend they're Nokia from the mid-90s and give one of these little barrel connectors.
So that's not annoying. Well, that's not the only annoying thing, though. The thing that annoys me is all the Chromebooks that came out with this processor, which is the Rockchip RK3288. It is a Cortex A35 processor with a Mali T760 MP4 GPU. Blah 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 blah. All the Chromebooks that came out with that have options for either 2 or 4 gigs of RAM. I have recently just bought the Asus C201 with 4 gigabytes of RAM. The Chromebit only has 2 and doesn't give you an expansion. You don't even get the choice to go for 4 gigs. That annoys me.
But is 4 gigs too much for a Chromebook? So I know all it is how I see it, because I've never used one. I know the brief idea I get from it is it's a modified version of Chrome.
It is, and it actually runs incredibly well on 2 gigs. But given the choice, I think it's £20 more to upgrade my laptop from 2 gigs to 4 gigs.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
and again, because it's such a small amount that it would have been.
It would have been worth it. You would have paid the extra.
Let's put it. Are you an Xbox gamer, Chris?
Yeah.
Put it this way. Chrome is like Xbox Live. The more bandwidth you throw at Xbox Live, the better it is.
Yes.
There you go.
Very true. Very, 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 very true.
So
I know I'd certainly want a Chromebit if it came out at the right price.
I definitely want one, and I'm going to be trying to get one in for a review, but I don't know how well that's going to go across.
I'd like one because I've never used Chrome OS.
See, I use Chrome OS daily.
I'd like to, but I kind of can't see the point in going out and buying another laptop.
And that's a perfectly valid. See, I have a desktop at home that runs Windows, but everything else I run off of my Chromebook. What about you, Mark?
This specific device, no, that power connector is just retarded. I'm sorry, it's just whatever they were thinking. Whoever came up with the idea and whoever approved it should both be fired right now. However, assuming version 2 comes out and they fix that and use a normal power connector that you can actually use anywhere, I like the idea. I like the idea that you can have your own little computer in your pocket, and wherever you go, all you need is a monitor or a TV. You plug it in, and in theory, you're ready to go.
I mean, I don't think it'd be too difficult to have an app on the phone that emulates a keyboard and a trackpad.
Oh, that would be a good idea. That
So
would certainly be a good idea.
So if you are using it on a TV, you don't have to actually have something like that, and maybe you could switch into like just a trackpad mode.
Oh, well, I've got I think we were discussing earlier, I have 5 Bluetooth mice.
Yeah.
So,
I thought you said you had 3.
Oh no, 5 in total.
What?
3 different types, but 5. So yeah, I'd be quite happy to continue to just throw one of them in a bag, carry around one of the little tiny Microsoft Bluetooth keyboards. Yeah, I mean what I'm using right now, and I've got. Oh gosh.
I'd like one of these.
Got one of these little things. I don't know if it comes across.
Oh wow!
Is that USB or Bluetooth?
Yeah, so little Bluetooth thing. I got that for back in the day when I used to have the Sensation XE connected to the TV. So I had a mouse paired to it, little keyboard, and you could have real Android on your 40-inch screen.
See, this is quite interesting because we've seen the reviews come out, and some of them they've not been panning it, but they haven't come on for, in my mind, the right perspective. So the Verge, Engadget, and Android Android Central all came at it the right way, in my opinion, because they said it's an $85 computer. It's not gonna perform as well as your $700 laptop. Like, you shouldn't expect it to.
No.
There is thermal constraints, and there is just like computing restraints. That it's a low power ARM processor, and that it's Chrome OS. So that you've got to set your expectations. It probably performs. It probably doesn't perform all that different from my laptop, which is a £200 Chromebook, and that is quite impressive.
John, what would you use this for? If you were to go out and buy a Chromebook, what would you buy it for?
Honestly, I would plug it into my monitor, and I'd probably only ever fire up Windows when I needed to edit video. Because my printer is Google Cloud Print compatible, and as much as I hate it, I still have to print things.
Okay. A second question, or follow-up. Is there anything the Chromebit could do that your Windows computer can't?
Yeah, not sound like a fucking jet engine.
Because I know if I got one of Chromebit, I know what I do is I hook it up to my TV, because I've got the first generation Chromecast, and I've not used it in a while. And I will hook the Chromebit up, get a little keyboard and mouse, and then I'd use it as a media PC.
Yeah.
It wouldn't, because it's not a custom build, or it's not what. I don't think it has any fans in it, does it?
No, it's completely fanless.
So it's completely fanless. So it's going to be quieter, and it's going to be cheaper. And all I do is watch YouTube videos on it, watch special videos, probably a bit of probably watch a bit of films.
Yeah.
Some films on there. It's literally would be the thing that I picked up and just went, threw it in my pocket, threw it in a bag, keyboard, mouse, and then if I went away, like if I went to my granddad's or his family for the night, I wouldn't take the laptop. I know it's light and I could just throw it in the bag, but chuck a Chromebit in a little.
In your pocket.
Yeah, put a Chromebit in a little pouch. Get a nice little keyboard and mouse. Get a little old pencil case. Stuff it all in.
And
then bang, there's your computer in your. There's your computer in your bag or in your pocket.
Yeah, Bob's your tea, everyone's happy. But getting back to your question, Mark, what can it do that my Windows PC can't? That's not the question I'd be asking. Basically, pretty much, it does less. It does a lot less than my Windows PC.
Yes,
but a lot of the time, my Windows PC is essentially running Chrome OS because
Yes, I realise
Chrome.
that. Unfortunately, as you are, would you say you're a fairly avid Chrome fan?
Yes.
Yet you still instantly and readily admit, oh, but occasionally I still need to use Windows when I want to do something.
Yeah. Oh no, I will be if there
And
is
that's
no point
its
in
problem.
championing a product. There's no point championing a product if you can't find its faults, and Chrome OS definitely has
Yeah.
faults.
But
You can't edit video. You can't edit video. I can't rip my stupidly large DVD collection. Unlike there are still things I need Windows for.
yes, but unfortunately,
But for 95% of my computing tasks, I can use a Chromebook. But it's always that 5% that I can't. I will always need a second computer.
yes, and I would agree. And I think anybody who right now doesn't have a computer, if there is still, a grandmother or grandparent out there that doesn't have a computer, this would be a great way to, dirt cheap, super simple, no maintenance, no updates, no anything. Doesn't matter. There's nothing to break.
Yeah.
However, most people who are ever going to use a computer already have one, and it already runs Windows.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah, it's what's it for? It's not going to give them anything new.
It's basically an XP replacement. That is how I look at it. If you've got a machine that for any reason run Windows XP, albeit because you've got a nice little form factor thing, and it's so old that you couldn't run Windows 7 on it. I know someone carries a little old, ThinkPad, really nice little device, but he runs Windows XP on it. Just because it was made for XP, don't even think it has a gig of RAMs.
Wow.
So he, I'm not sure the specs on it, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it will have a gig or less. I don't think it's going to be anything more. But he's got Windows XP on that, and all he uses it for is to use Excel for racing points.
So he won't. Actually, I don't know. Is there Excel online? Is it like on the Office 365 free version? Like Office.com, I think you might be able to use Excel online. Anyway, before we get too bogged down, because we spent 15 minutes speaking about the single topic, this next one's going to be pretty damn quick because none of us seem to like it. The Apple Watch magnetic dock is official, and it is just as ugly as the watch itself. As we were saying just before we went live, this is probably the first Apple product in a long time that I can say looks cheap. It doesn't look like an official first-party Apple accessory. It seems like something you'd buy for like $20, $25 on like AliExpress, and you'd buy like 10 of them because you're almost certain it was going to break. It looks cheap from the offset, and it's expensive. How much is it, Chris? I think it's something like $80.
Yeah, that's what I'm sure it was.
It was something crazy, like expensive for what it is. And this is weird because again, it kind of matches the watch. I'm not a big fan of the Apple Watch design. I know some people are, but this dock doesn't go with it at all. The third-party ones from like Spigen and like the metal stands that you just pop the actual charger into, those look great. But this just looks bad.
It does. It just plain looks. It looks like an afterthought that nobody was expecting, and somebody went, quick, make one, make it now. You've got 30 minutes before we have to get the manufacturing in. That's what it looks like. It's a mess, and that's fine if it costs $10.
Not 80.
No, it's
too. It shouldn't exist, and if it does, it should be a quarter of the price it currently is. If you have an Apple Watch, do not go out and buy this.
No, it's just don't.
See, I told you the next one was going to be a quick one. So the third one is actually something I am really quite interested in, apart from the fact we have two Chris's.
Yeah, there we go. Let's get that sorted. That's weird. My
all of a sudden the Bluetooth earbuds batteries died. I was like, okay, let's switch back, and then all of a sudden I couldn't hit anything out of the laptop. So S6 Edge Plus saved the day once again.
Brilliant. So, as we were speaking about before, Chris, this next one is the Nvidia Shield tablet, has been relaunched as the Nvidia Shield Tablet K1. And it's pretty much exactly the same Nvidia Shield tablet, apart from two things. It no longer ships with a charger in the box, no cable or a brick, it doesn't have a charger in box. And it also no longer has a silo for the stylus. If you still have a stylus, it will still work exactly the same way. There is just nowhere to store it inside the actual device. And all of this comes for the outrageous price of 150 British pounds, or $199. I don't know what Chris is doing.
Sorry, I was just rotating the camera screen so that the camera would change because of where the headphone jack is on this. And there was a glass just happened to be in the way. I was like, of all the things, a flaming Coca-Cola glass gets in the way. Doesn't look like tonight's going to run pretty smooth at all.
Coca-Cola is not a sponsor.
We wish.
Yeah, I wish. So another interesting thing, I don't know if either of you have ever used a Shield tablet. I have. It is insanely fast, and it runs a very close to stock version of Android. And they've already said it's getting Marshmallow, and it's very close to getting Marshmallow. So in the testing phases, and it's very close to going out, which gets me very excited. Because this thing shipped with, like, not this one, obviously, the original Shield tablet, I think shipped with 4.3, maybe 4.4.
I think it was with KitKat, initially. I think it was with KitKat.
Yeah, and it got, like, every update afterwards, maybe within a month of Nexus devices. So,
I think in a couple of places it did beat some Nexus devices.
Yeah, that was with the 5.0.2 rollout, and then everyone quickly regretted it. Because everyone who ever, no matter what device, had upgraded to 5.0.2 instantly regretted it. And then they got the 5.1 update, and it fixed all the issues, blah, 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 blah. But, so yeah, this is launching with 5.1, so it doesn't have any of those issues, and it's going to get a very, very fast upgrade to Marshmallow. What do you two think of this?
Brilliant deal. 150 quid. It is a brilliant deal. Did you say it came with no charger brick or no charger at all?
It doesn't come with a charger at all, but it does use micro USB, so like your phone charger will charge this thing up. But in order to get the price down, they had to cut some. So
they did not throw a micro USB cable in?
Nope, no cable and no brick.
See that obviously,
it comes.
I can deal with no brick. I can understand no brick.
Mm-hmm.
But to not throw a micro USB cable in?
Well, why not? I mean, who doesn't have a million of them?
Oh yes, I'll admit I've got a fair few of them.
Don't worry, Chris. No. Nvidia will still happily sell you their World Charger kit for, I think it's like £17.
Oh God, why go out and spend 17 quid? I got God knows how many bloody bricks down here. I got two sat down next to my bed. They both charge at 2 amps, so it's not going to be a problem.
There you go. The Shield World Charger is $17.99.
Wow. For $17.99 though, I would have appreciated they'd put that in and then just sold it for 170 quid.
Yeah.
175, 170. That would have been made more sense. Or for an extra $5, throw a micro USB cable in.
Not adding the brick, I understand. Not adding the cable is kind of iffy for me.
It's kind of a douchebag move.
No, I think, well, why not? Sell two versions, sell one with it, one without it. Because, let's face it, who doesn't have these things already?
I've got a good 10 on my desk.
But how many people have started lately moving from computers to tablets? Because I know my grandparents picked up one of them picked up an original Huddle. So they didn't really have.
Can I just clarify where you're going? Are you suggesting that Nvidia should put a charging cable in their gaming tablet in case your grandparents buy it?
Not just my grandparents, but think about it. People are moving over.
if with the
Yes, but,
seniors,
as long as they say does not come with a charger, I think that's fine.
but
I think
150 quid, it's still a good price to pay for a tablet. The Huddle 2, which is the latest Huddle, is 119.
It's been discontinued, by the way, and they're not making a third gen.
Yeah,
They're not making a third gen Huddle.
No,
They're not.
Tesco have gotten out of all of that.
They've scrapped it.
They scrapped the entire Huddle lineup.
Yep. So
That's a bummer.
if you can buy a Huddle 2, buy it before the stock runs dry, because they're actually really good
I think
tablets.
it has ran dry.
Yep, I have one of them here, although I've had it for about a year now. I got it just after they launched. And fantastic things.
They are fantastic. I would buy one.
It was like 100 quid. The only thing I was pissed at was when they came out this case for it was like £25.
Yeah, I had that even with the original Huddle because I've got one set of grandparents own the original Huddle. I've got another set own the Huddle 2, and then my mum has the Huddle 2 as well. So the one thing I've always found is the price of the cases are stupidly high.
Yeah.
So
20 quid. Who thought to make a Huddle case 20 quid or 25 quid for a leather one?
the people that have been told to make money no matter what. So
Yes.
Words are difficult, so let's try that one again. So if you don't know the specs of the Shield tablet, it's an 8-inch 1920 by 1200 display, and no, that is not 1080p. No matter who says it, it's not. It's 1200p. It's got a quad-core Nvidia Tegra K1. I was very upset because there's actually two versions of the K1. There's the quad-core with Cortex A15s, and then there is the dual-core version, which has custom-made Nvidia Denver cores, which is what was in the Nexus 9. After Google fixed the issues with Lollipop and stuff, the Nexus 9 was rapid because the Denver cores are fucking great.
I had that. I will say with the Nexus 7 2012, I made the mistake of upgrading that to Lollipop. I should have left it alone on KitKat. And I know Google only has this. Is it 2-year support?
I think it's 18 months for software and 2 years for security patches.
Okay, so let's say 18 months, 2 years. Let's go smack bang in the middle. If Marshmallow was to Marshmallow. I'm getting confused now. If Marshmallow was to hit the Nexus 7 2012, I reckon that would be a great device. Especially at the pricing.
At this point, I think not, purely because the damage has been done to first-gen Nexus 7s. The problem with the original Nexus 7s is the same problem that the early Transformers had, which was they used incredibly cheap flash, and it has very limited write cycles. And we're 3-4 years on at this point. They've had
2012. 2 years. 3 years, I mean.
Yeah, 2 and a bit, 3 years. They've had their write cycles pretty much, most of them, done at this point. And again, you might be able to get a little bit out of it, and it might stay fast for a while.
Cyanogen might probably.
Yeah, but I think most of the damage for that has been done. So it has 2 gigs of RAM, the quad-core K1, 8-inch 1920 by 1200 screen, 5 megapixel back camera, 2 megapixel front camera, blah 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 blah. It's got dual stereo speakers on the front. It streams Nvidia GeForce Now, which people have been calling the Netflix for games, which is probably the most apt thing to call it.
I see where they're coming from with that. With that name, it is a good name.
Yeah, so if you don't know what GeForce Now is, it's a subscription service where you pay, I think it's between £10 and £15 a month, and you can stream games to your Shield device. I don't think it's just Shields either anymore. I think you can
I think it's just Shield products. I think you can with the Shield Portable. I know that was where it initially came out with, was on the Shield Portable. That's what kicked the whole thing off.
Yeah, it was called Grid, Nvidia Grid originally. Now
Yes.
it's GeForce Now.
Yeah, because the Grid was initially free.
Yeah.
because it was a beta.
It was.
And then
If you'd ever used it, it was very beta.
It was very, yeah, it was beta, and then they was like, okay, we've cracked it. We're gonna rename it, rebrand it. We're gonna give you. I think they said we're gonna give you a month free to make your mind up. So yeah, to most people, if you say younger kid or an older person that knows what Netflix is, you're gonna say, oh, what's this Nvidia Grid? Oh, it's basically the Netflix of games. Everyone will know. Everyone knows what Netflix is.
Yeah. So you say that you say to your grandparents, like, you don't need to buy another Xbox. Just buy a controller. Just buy the controller, and then that's it. I'm done.
Controllers are 50 quid, so it's still.
Make it a birthday present, then. There you go.
Yeah, but buy me a controller.
Yeah. So like I said, this is probably the best value Android tablet there is. Like when I say Android tablet, I don't mean the Fire devices, because although they are Android and there is a 50 quid one that is actually not terrible, because I've played with one. Like sanctioned Google Android tablets, for the price, I don't think I would recommend anything over this, because a Nexus 9 is a lot more money.
I'd like that. It's only an extra inch though.
What is that, Mark?
Not if you go to Argos. Argos were doing the white ones for 150 quid.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's
what's that, 16 gig model?
Oh yeah, the 16, and only the white ones. The black ones were still 200.
Interesting.
I'm double checking this quickly. Well, as quick as my internet would go.
At £150 between this and the Nexus 9, it's still a very good deal. The only
You're lying,
reason...
Mark.
Well, they were. I don't.
Thank you. So I've just gone on the site. It's £200.
Well, there you go. So, but even again, at £200 is a great deal for Nexus 9. But then again, what else is around the £150 price point that you wouldn't pick up and go ugh every time you used it?
If the Huddle 2 was still here, Huddle 2. That is a pretty solid tablet. The only thing I don't like about the Huddles is they don't get an upgrade.
Yeah.
I know the Huddle 1 still runs Jelly Bean.
I think the Huddle 2 got its 5.1 update, didn't it, Mark?
Yes. Actually, quite recently too.
It was quite recently.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had just long assumed it wasn't getting it, and to be honest, I was fine with that. I don't do anything important with it. All it ever gets used for is watching videos occasionally. That's it.
You know what you could use your Huddle 2 for, Mark, don't you?
What?
You could. I know it has Google Drive on there. You could use it to read the note sheets. You could walk around. You could just go, okay, I've got 5 minutes to myself. I've not got to go and switch the computer on. I can read the note sheets and get caught up to speed.
Well, I could, but I can't remember the last time I was in a room and there wasn't a computer on also in that room.
Really?
Oh,
Okay,
I agree with Mark on that. The amount of rooms I walk into that have fully functional computers, and with the advent of me having Google pretty much everything, as long as I've got my phone with the Google Authenticator app, I can sign into pretty much everything and get everything.
Yeah, that's a question just on Google Authenticator. If you have a new phone, do you have to set up? You have to set up Authenticator again. You don't disable it on the old phone.
No. What you have to do is disable Authenticator and then never use it ever again, because it's such a traumatic pain to use.
I was going to say, do you have to disable it within each account, then reset it all over again?
Yeah.
Oh, good job. Good. Well, I'm glad I've not done that then.
Yeah. Because I recommend using two-factor authentication, but but the Google Authenticator app is probably Google's worst piece of software. So again, £150, a great deal. If I can get one of those, either my own money or review, you guys will know, both the listeners, watchers, readers, whatever, and you guys because I won't let you forget about it. So I'll
So
probably
I'll rub it in when I get my hands on a 6p.
There you go. Yeah.
If I get my hands on a
I think we
6p,
can all
you'll know
agree.
about it.
I think we can probably all agree that the Nvidia Shield tablet, as Android tablets go, it's cracking, basically.
For that price point, yes.
But yet,
Very much.
for some reason, absolutely no one's going to buy one.
How much was the Shield when it came out? It was
The original.
original. The original, not the Shield Portable, the tablet version.
I don't remember.
I think it was about 200 quid, wasn't it? 200, 300 quid.
Yeah, I think it was tiny. It was very similar to the Nexus 7.
Which was about 200 quid.
Yeah, I don't remember if one was slightly more than the other.
No, I can't. That's...
But for whatever reason, just nobody bought one.
What?
What?
The Shields.
Yeah. We were speaking about this beforehand. I think the people that want shields have already bought shields. The other people that maybe kind of want shields can't afford shields. So I don't know how many more people
that want them want other things more.
Yeah, and I don't know how many more
want
people
an
are going to get
Xbox,
them.
and they want a PlayStation 4, or they want a new graphics card, and the Shield tablet starts becoming really low down because still it's a tablet. You're not playing real grown-up games on it. You're playing Android games.
I would
Or
buy,
if you
I
stream
would
it
buy
for-
the Shield TV over the Shield tablet.
I would say because you can, if you have a supported Nvidia graphics card, you can stream your gameplay over in the same way you would with the...
Yes, you could, but why would you just not use the device in the first place?
Because sometimes sitting on a couch is comfier than a computer chair.
Yeah.
But like I said, I would buy a Shield TV over the Shield tablet at the same price. But that's just because I'm not a great big tablet fan. Let's move on because I think we spent pretty much the same amount of time on this as we did on the Chromecast.
Yeah.
This next one is kind of, I mean, I made this doc, so it's kind of really interesting to me as like a chip and fabrication nerd. So ARM has released the Cortex A35. So if you follow ARM's naming structure, lower numbers are lower performing, higher numbers are higher performing. We originally had the Cortex A5 and A7, then like the in power is A5, then A7, then A9, A15, and then A17. When we moved to 64-bit, we had two. We had the A53 and the A57. And people kind of just assumed that A57 was Cortex A15 and A53 was Cortex A7. This actually turned out to be wrong when ARM announced this. We have the Cortex A72, which is the ARM A17. Then we have the A57, which is a Cortex A15. We have the A53, which is Cortex A9. And now we have Cortex A35, which is the A7/A5. So on the same process node, so for example, 28 nanometers, which is the most widely used process node currently, at the exact same node, a Cortex A35 would be 10% lower power than a Core A7, but between 6 and 40% more powerful. This is amazing, and I give it about 2 weeks before MediaTek announces like an 8-core version of like one of their lowest price SoCs. This is really interesting because the A53 was like it's Cortex A7 whatever blah 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 blah, but it was actually more power hungry than the Cortex A7. And then this is less power hungry, and you are able to pretty much match the A53's performance with this if you go up to higher clocks. I probably give it about 6 months before ARM discontinue the Cortex A53 and very strongly suggest people use this. So expect to see this in like incredibly low power, like MediaTek chips. It is the little version, so it'd be in like big little chips. So like future Exynos chips will probably have like four Samsung M2 cores and then 4 ARM A35s. Newer versions of the Snapdragon 400 series, maybe the 600 series, they'll move away from A53s down to A35s. This is like a power play because ARM knows without a doubt, the most IP it licenses is the A7s because it's still a great one now. Like I pick up my first generation Moto G, and as long as sorry about that, Chris. As long as I've like wiped the phone because I've destroyed the NAND on that phone, it's still really fast. And I think lower end phones, so 720p or lower, like a quad core A35 MediaTek chip at 1 GHz would probably be great on a future Android One device. So
they modifying the way Android One is being done.
Pardon?
I'm saying with Android One, it used to be a lot. It used to be like Android Wear, whereas you could get manufacturers, but they would have to be. Oh, this is going to sound. I'm going to say the word wrong. It'd have to be a specific set of specs.
Yeah, they definitely had a blueprint like earlier Windows Phone where they had reference designs. So the earlier Android One devices had to use a MediaTek chip. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a quad-core Cortex A7 with a Mali 450 GPU. You had like 4 or 8 gigs of storage, 1 GB of RAM, and a FW VGA screen. Later on, they moved out to Snapdragon 400s, and I think they've opened up a little bit more, but I think it's 2 Broadcom devices.
I'm not sure. I just remember reading something in Feedly at some point, and it was just when you said Android One.
So I'm actually very interested. You can buy one of the first generation Android One devices in the UK for about £60, and they do have a lollipop update. A marshmallow update. I'm very tempted to buy one in and like try and use it for like a week and then do a review that way. Because I highly doubt. I've already asked them. Micromax won't send me one. I think it's just because they're kind of over it. So last in the news is Meizu. The news is Meizu. So earlier this year, I think it was like last month or the month before, Craig reviewed the Meizu MX5, which was at the time their highest end device. But
I think he liked it as well, didn't he?
Huh?
I think he actually enjoyed using it as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think from what I remember, Craig really liked it. Apart from the software, which he had a couple of issues getting his notifications through.
I know he had another glitch where he'd set it up in English. I think when you used to run Google Now or the built-in version of Google Now, whatever they called it, it would always respond to him in Chinese. Yes,
the voice assistant was always in Chinese. I don't think they've fixed that yet. This is very much like an Asian-oriented product. So as they do pretty much every year, they follow up their MX product with a Pro variant. So last year we had the MX4, which was using a MediaTek chip. Then we had the MX4 Pro using the Exynos 5422, which is what was used in the Galaxy Alpha and the Note 4. This year we have the MX5 using the Helio X10 from MediaTek, which is actually a really good chip. But the MX5 Pro, or the Meizu Pro 5, they changed the name, whatever, is using the Exynos 7420, which, as Chris can tell you, because he's using the Galaxy S6 Edge, is blisteringly fast.
Oh, this is one phone I don't want to send back.
Yeah.
If I had my way, this phone would be in my pocket, my daily driver, and I would not send it back. The only thing that kind of annoyed me with this review is I got this through Vodafone, and of course it's Vodafone locked, and I know Vodafone, whatever I use on it, they cover, but I would have so loved to whack my 3 SIM in that and just literally bombed it for. I had it wait for no, I can't remember. I've got to send it back, but I think I'll have it for 2 weeks all in all. I would have loved my SIM in that and just bombed it down the road with a 3 SIM in.
Yeah. So this is pretty much exactly the same, except it's not running a 2560 by 1440 screen like the S6 Edges. It's running a 5.7-inch 1080p AMOLED display. So if Chris, if you speak for a second, it'll move over to you.
Yeah. So I've got this S6 Edge Plus. I think they're very similar spec-wise, but this is one phone that I would not send back if I didn't have to.
Yeah. So the Pro 5 has a 5.7-inch 1080p AMOLED display, likely a very similar display that Samsung used in the Note 3, which was the last 5.7-inch 1080p AMOLED display I knew about, but it could just be a newer revision of that. The 7420, so that's a little bit easier on the GPU, is using the same UFS internal storage, which is like blisteringly fast. It uses USB-C with 3.1 speeds.
Okay, is that with the 3.1 speeds or the 2.0 speeds?
3.1 speeds and quick charging.
That's quick charging is another thing
it has proprietary Meizu quick charging, but it does have quick charging. What were you going to say, Chris?
I'm going to say I have the M8 and I don't think it's called quick charging, but it has a thing called fast charging. I'm not sure if it's two different things.
It's pretty much the same thing. It's kind of like Samsung spin on it, but it's the newer version. So I think what you've got in yours, it's pretty rapid, isn't it?
With the S6 Edge Plus, it's rapid. I mean, it will outcharge my M8 easily, and it will even, which then the M8 will outcharge the M7, which is still a good phone. Hey, you can see yourself on there. The M7 is still a good phone, don't get me wrong, and the M8 is still an even better phone.
So, with the Meizu Pro 5, it's pretty much the MX5 on steroids. The fingerprint sensor is that bit faster, the camera is that bit better, the internals are that much faster, the screen is that much better. Like everything, it's kind of like the MX5. It's like the MX5 snorted line of coke. It's kind of like just a bit that. But I think we're all going to have the exact same issues that Craig had. Like none of us really like all the software. What about you, Mark?
Craig just messaged me in Slack because Craig is, despite him being away, he is watching the stream and he said he did enjoy it. Software was a little iffy. And I remember because he was on UK Tech Talk, I think it was, when he was actually talking about it, and he actually demonstrated it, and I was like, yeah, that software is iffy as hell.
So, Mark?
Yeah, I think kind of the most interesting thing about this isn't so much the phone at all, because it's going to have basically it's the same as the previous version. The issues it had is going to be the same, which is namely software, which is the one thing the Chinese just can't nail or certainly haven't yet. But what I think is really actually the most interesting thing about this is I think the first time I've seen a not Samsung use a Samsung chip.
Sorry to cut you off. This is the first phone I've seen that's not a Samsung. I've seen other devices, so
sorry.
Like hard kernel make the Odroids, and they use Exynos processors. But
this is the first phone that's come out with a Samsung chip, and I think that's important in the sense that Samsung is beginning, hopefully for us all, they're moving into the not just phone manufacturer, but OEM chip manufacturer. And
Samsung LSI is big. Like,
they'll have to sell to everyone. But the thing is, most other phone companies don't want to put anything with Samsung name on it if they don't have to, because they see Samsung as the competition.
The only concession to this I will usually say is pretty much everyone that can will buy a Samsung screen, because Samsung screens are known to be the best. But other things like batteries, RAM, processors, it's why can I buy theirs when everything else works just as well?
Yeah, but usually you don't see companies advertising, we use a Samsung screen.
Yeah, no, they won't advertise it, but like they acknowledge it's the best.
They might acknowledge it, but certainly promotionally, companies now are beginning to all say, we use a Sony whatever chip in the camera because the consumer knows that that is the best chip. And in terms of CPUs, phones have long advertised what CPU. Usually, off the back of Qualcomm, people are used to seeing, wow, Snapdragon, Qualcomm, blah. And now with Samsung having plastered Samsung Exynos, and this is now somebody else saying, yeah, look, we've got a Samsung chip in there because, well, it's actually really bloody good.
I think it definitely helped that Qualcomm stumbled as badly as they did this year. And make no doubt about it, anyone, Qualcomm stumbled this year. The 810 was a disaster. The only reason the 808 wasn't a disaster is because they removed 2 of the hot cores, but otherwise 808 wasn't great. The 615 was pretty terrible. The 410 was okay, but they used it on a very leak processor node. Pardon?
The 810 has been their Pentium 4.
Yes. Oh, that is the perfect example.
Yeah.
Like, if any of you are old enough to remember the Pentium 4, if not, just Google it. Chris, I think you might have to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Great that you could fry eggs.
Oh, God. Pentium 4. Anyway, so that's pretty much the news over with. So we've only actually got 2 topics this week because it's actually...
quiet.
As I said, I'm trying to keep it a bit quiet. I was actually had to hunt for a few of those topics. The first one is we're having a quick chat about things we've got in for review. So I have the Wily Fox Storm, as you can see here, and I've just
it's literally what I think.
And I just had to send back the Motorola Moto X Style, given to us by our lovely friends over at clove.co.uk. You can go buy devices from them, and they're actually very fast, very lovely people with very decent prices. And Chris, you have the...
They have a fantastic range.
Pardon?
Just saying, Clover, interestingly, have a very wide range of things. Things that otherwise you can't... Certainly things you can't walk into a car phone warehouse and just see in front of you.
Definitely.
Why do you buy phones in car phone warehouse is my question.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't. But
I will say, sorry, Mark. They have the X Style for 50 quid cheaper than Motorola does right now. So if you wanted to buy a Style and you didn't want it customized, go to Clove. Mark, you can carry on what you're saying now. So I've got the Wily Fox Storm, and Chris has the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus.
Very big. Very, very, very big.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of big phones. Huh?
Very loved as well. The first phone I did was the Smart Speed 6. And it was the Smart Speed 6. Vodafone have that many smartphones. It's a bit hard to try and keep track on what's what. And I love that phone, not because people go, oh, what is like that for? It had a terrible. It was cheap. It was made cheap. It runs so, but no, it ran consistently, and it did get a little bit warm. But the battery life on it was what people would want. I know I managed to get just over just under a day, not by much, but I could easily put a day. So I'd be out I went to college and I tend to stream podcasts and Spotify. I basically stream audio over data because
which is intensive on everything.
Which is intensive, and I only do it over data because I can't be able to go down to the IT department and go, oh, can you sort this phone out for the network? Mainly because I'm too lazy, and it would mean I would get all the restrictions, and I don't even know if they would let me access Pocket Cast or Spotify. But I ran that over Wi-Fi ran it over data for 2 days because I'm only in Monday, Tuesday, and I walked. This was a time when my bike was playing, so I would have walked about not 5 miles, about 2.5 miles from my college to my grandparents because it's a 9 mile trip from my front door to my college. So I was on my bike. I broke down, and I was going over to my granddad's funny enough when I broke down, and I walked back. It was about a 40-minute walk, and I walked back in the door, and that phone had about 20% left. And that was enough to get me through the 5 minutes before dinner, and it got me through about, I'd like to say, about half an hour after dinner before I was like, okay, I have got to charge this thing. It was like 1%.
That's impressive.
It is impressive, and I think it's mainly due to its low. It was an SVGA screen. It wasn't an impressive screen, but because it wasn't an impressive screen, it didn't need that much power, which saved on the battery life. The S6 Edge, it's got a, let me check the box, I can't remember, a Quad HD S AMOLED display.
Yeah, so that's 2560 by 1440.
Which does look beautiful, I'm not going to lie. I have watched some YouTube videos in it. But I don't know if it's just me, but I could see a little difference because I was flicking back between 1440p and 1080p. I could only see a little bit of difference, and that's probably my one thing I'd like to change. I'd like it to have a 1080p panel.
Yep. And I don't know. Sorry.
Battery kick up the arse, and it'd probably fire through for a couple more hours.
I don't know if you actually know this, just how much like computationally more difficult it is to push a 1440p than a 1080p screen is.
I can imagine. I'm not an expert, but any half-wit can tell you that a display that has a better resolution is going to be harder to push than one that has a lower resolution. It's common.
No, but like the just how much more difficult it is. Like there's only what's the difference between 1080 and 1440? It's like 380 odd like pixels, anything like that. And like in that, I mean obviously there's the vertical stuff as well. But I think it's like roughly 3 times harder to push a 1440p display than a 1080p one. Like it's a lot harder than the numbers alone would suggest, which is why I find it so impressive we've actually got 1440p displays on smartphones as is.
You find it impressive? Is that the right word?
I find it impressive technologically we can have it. I find it monumentally idiotic that we actually still think we need it.
We don't need it.
No, but there are people that think we do. I am perfectly fine looking at a 5-inch 720p display, and the last couple of devices I've looked at have 5.5-inch 1080p displays. I pretty much can't tell the difference. I don't have the best eyes, but
no, I don't.
I think a lot of people would be very hard pressed to see the difference between a 5.5-inch 1080p and a 5.5-inch Quad HD.
I noticed this.
Like given the same display type.
Well, the difference is, can you see the difference? Yes. Is it an important difference?
No.
No.
And
the trade-off is that
battery.
it's battery destroying, so you lose something that I consider to be really important, and you gain
very little.
Nothing. I mean,
you get a little bit of graphical fidelity, but that's pretty much it.
I suppose with the S6 Edge, obviously how thin it is, it's a very thin phone. So yes, Samsung could slap a bigger battery in, but it's got a 3,000 milliamp hour battery. If it was just pushing a 1080p screen, I reckon I would get about a day's worth of battery life out of it, and possibly even some extra.
So, this is just what I'm getting from this, and I think we need to leave it for your review, which is coming some point next week, I think.
I've got it drafted, minus a couple of points I need to fill in, but it will be out some point after your Style X Play.
Okay.
I get confused because Motorola can't name stuff the same like every other company can.
So, as I said, I think we need to cut it short before you give the entire review away, but I think you like it, yeah?
I like it. I'd buy it. But
Just a
there's
tad
improvements,
expensive.
and that glass back would need sorting out, in my opinion.
Hashtag dbrand. So,
Not a sponsor.
definitely not a sponsor, but if they want to sponsor us, I will be very happy to take your money. So I've got the Wily Fox Storm, which I still think it has like the best logo. Like
by far.
And it's like very tactile. You can feel everything. It's raised. I like the orange accents.
That's what I noticed when you had the Swift in, was the amount of luminous orange used.
Oh god, there is so much of it. But this feels solid. There's no creaks. Like there's no hollowness. It's just solid. Though the one thing to note is, if you have a look at the profile of it, so it angles in, so it goes like that. If this is face down on the desk, the way your hand picks things up, it just slides right along there. Because it's so thin as well, I think it's like 7.5 or 8.5 millimeters. It's actually really hard to pick this thing up from a desk if it's face down. And I can put it face down because they pre-apply a screen protector.
Oh, that's nice.
It's not the greatest screen protector, I'll give it that. There are some bubbles and it is a plastic screen protector. I could take it off and buy a new one or a glass one. It does. I think it actually comes with one in the box. But the fact it comes pre-installed one shows they care. A 5.5-inch 1080p AMOLED display. It's a really nice IPS display. It's slightly warm for my taste, which means it's I don't. That's like right down, like quite low brightness. Let's try one more notch down. Is that any better? There you go. I don't know if you can see that, but
That's better.
yeah, it's quite a warm screen, which is, I tend to lean more on the cooler side, so like more bluey than orangey. Huh?
I like a neutral screen.
If I can get a neutral one, I'm fine. But like if it's one extreme or the other, I would definitely prefer a cooler screen.
With my M8, I've got a very because I set all my phones up in all but the same way. The only thing I change is obviously because I only have Google Authenticator installed on one phone. That slot on my right home screen under my Sunrise calendar widget, that's the only thing that will change. And I've noticed that my wallpaper looks nice on the M8 as a dark-ish and just looks nice, but on the S6S Plus it looks really light. And I'm like, I kind of lean more to the dark side, and that's not a Star Wars reference either.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to The Force Awakens. So, like I said, it's got a really nice screen. 1080p is more than enough. It's got the much maligned Snapdragon 615 processor, though, like Motorola, they seem to have pulled like just as much juice as they're going to get out of this thing. It was a bad chip, but it almost feels like they've overclocked it out of the box. It was really quite odd, especially given the slight performance issues I had with the Swift. So when I had the Swift, I also had the the third gen Moto G, which is the same processor, the same screen, pretty much everything. But the Moto G was noticeably faster. This time I have the X Play, the X Style, and the Swift all together. So the X Play, the X Play and the Style, the X Play and the Storm. Sorry, they all have the same name. Are pretty much identical. Both 5.5-inch 1080p screens, both Snapdragon 615s. They were almost identical in performance. That does mean there is some graphical issues, and again, it's the same places. It's like pulling down the notification shade. It's like swiping through tabs in YouTube. It's always the same issue with every Snapdragon 615 phone there is, and the CyanogenMod camera is woefully slow. It is a lot faster on the Google camera app, so if you do get one of these, I would definitely say download the Google camera. But it's just great. It's £200.
Which is a fair price.
Oh, and it runs Cyanogen, which you will either love or hate.
Is it unlocked? Can you?
If you know what it is, you will love, and you will buy it in part because of that.
Yeah.
It's a bootloader unlock, so you can flash a new copy of CyanogenMod over.
So if I go into the settings and I go down to developer options, which I've enabled, there is a switch which came in Lollipop, I think, that allows you to OEM unlock, which before you flip this switch, any attempt to unlock the bootloader will fail.
Oh, that's cool.
But you can flip this button, and if there is a bootloader unlock, I don't know if it's just the standard fastboot OEM unlock. I haven't tried. I won't try it because this is a press unit. But yeah, if you can unlock the bootloader and someone already makes a ROM for it, like, flash it. But again, this ROM out the box is actually pretty great. It was quite odd because some of what I think are quite standard CyanogenMod features are actually hidden until you go into the About phone and then enable the, I think it's called Advanced Menus or Advanced Setting. Advanced mode. There's actually a toggle in settings called Advanced mode. There it is. So advanced mode, so I can now change my status bar, my color temperature, the sound profiles, everything. So it does a lot of the Cyanogen stuff, but they kind of hidden a lot of the stuff that normals will find confusing, which I actually quite applaud, even if like they would have told me about that beforehand. Because I was kind of going like, what the hell have they done to CyanogenMod? I was like, I can't show my battery percentage. Like, because that's one of the few things I really do. I go into the status bar settings and I change the battery from a circle to a written percentage. It's just what I do. And it wasn't there. And it wasn't there. And I was just like, so where's it gone? I was like, all these options that are usually there weren't there. And I was very confused. But, again, same with Chris. I'm not going to say too much because, again, I want you to read my review, strangely enough.
That should be... Guess that, would you?
Nah. That should be coming either sometime late next week or early week after.
It'll be after the Edge Plus, won't it?
Oh, definitely. It'll probably be about a week after the Edge Plus review. I don't really want to send this one back. So, despite me not being a fan of big phones, I'm kind of liking this one.
I never used to like big phones, but I found myself moving more towards them.
Yeah.
Ever since I had the S3, I was like, cool, because I had the S3 Mini, then the S3, just because of the way the costing was. I was like, whoa, big phone, like this. And then I went to the M8, and I was like, ooh, I like this. And then I obviously had the S6 Edge Plus, and I've gone, wow, I really like this.
You just reminded me. Do you remember when there was just more than like 3 SoC makers? So the S3 Mini had ST Microelectronics Nova Thor, and they haven't been around in a while. So now we have Qualcomm, MediaTek, and Samsung pretty much.
I know somebody who still runs an S3 Mini.
Wow, that's
brave. It was slowing down a little bit.
And that's brave to still use that.
They can't afford a new one.
Oh, fair enough.
They bought it off me for cheap about a year and a half ago. I shot it from YouTube. I was like, whoa, I've just smashed my S4. My S4 is dead. It's been through the washing machine. I haven't got the money, so I've just got to buy this.
Oh, he's gone from an S4 to an S3 Mini.
Yeah, she absolutely hates it someday.
Yeah. All right, so
that should work.
All right, so I'm gonna pose this last one to Mark because I think he's been a bit quiet. Do you think we should speak about this second topic, or would you like to go?
Sorry, what the second topic?
Have you got the doc open?
Hang on, go to Slack and I'll paste it in. There you go.
Yeah, okay. So the question being, open source and whether or not Google should have taken this much control of Android from the start. Well, this of course is in reference to Android essentially now beginning to actually support AOSP and it pulling out all of its own Google G apps, as they're often termed, and making them just directly available in the Play Store. So if your device doesn't come with them, you can install them yourself. More importantly, what I think it means is you only get the ones that you actually want. And it also means that your device manufacturer has no control over how updated they are. So essentially, I think, yeah, this is all plus, all good. Google should have really probably done it from the get-go.
And I pretty much agree. The reason I put this one in is because I have a couple of devices that aren't going to be supported by Marshmallow officially. So one of them being a Nexus 4 and the other one being an original Moto G. So some of the first Marshmallow ROMs that came on there were custom ROMs, obviously, because they're not going to be official ones. I decided to not flash Google apps on the first run, so I could see what AOSP Marshmallow is like. Oh my god, some of these built-in apps.
Yeah, the AOSP apps, I mean, I do not think Google has looked at them since they were first developed.
Which
I don't know why they still exist.
Because some of them have been updated beautifully. Examples being the calculator and recently the camera have been updated to look more like their Play Store counterparts. But things like music or search or...
Yeah, see, I just kind of look at these and think, well, does AOSP need a calculator? Does it need a camera?
I think it does. I think you should be able to pull down AOSP and make a workable smartphone with or without Google.
But I don't think you need a calculator and a camera to have a workable smartphone. I think you should be able to go to a store and you can, like when you get Windows.
Yeah, but no. If you go and get like a store, why would you not just buy a phone with Google Android? I'm just saying, like, if you are making it say you're Amazon and you wanted to make the Fire tablets, yeah, and you download AOSP, and it turns out that, oh, wait a sec, some of these core apps aren't a pile of shit. I don't have to rewrite them because they are from 2007. Like, if Google, I strongly believe that AOSP needs to stick around. Whether or not they should have had more control from the start. AOSP is a good thing for Android because it would never have gotten the adoption it had gotten if the Google had taken this much control from the start. But,
well, that's true.
I do think Google needs to have a team within Android that just keeps AOSP up to date. Not just the code, but actually the built-in AOSP apps. Even if it's not feature parity, just visual parity. Because, again, search is from, like, Android 1.6.
Yeah, no, I think most of the apps can die. It's like when you get Windows from Microsoft, you don't expect that Microsoft is, supplying each and everything. They may offer an email client, they may offer a browser, but you're absolutely encouraged to go find and discover all these new varieties that there is out there in the world.
I don't think that's the apt comparison because you pay for Windows. The apt comparison would be downloading Ubuntu or Linux Mint, and it turns out that the email client in that hadn't been updated in 4 years. Yes, you can download another one, but that's not the point. The one it comes with should be
but the point
as modern as the OS itself.
Each of those distributions will quite happily change what their bundled email client is. They are not wedded to, this is the one that Linus said we've to use, so this is all we're going to use. They will say, right, Mozilla are making a good one just now, so we'll bundle that. Oh, well, their one's got an old and crap, so right, we're going to go to, I don't know.
Geary now, I think there's the main one, Moniz.
No idea.
Has Thunderbird been depreciated?
I have. Mozilla, basically kind of stopped working on it.
Don't you use Thunderbird, Mark?
Yes, and to be honest, they're still kind of keeping it ticking over for security, and I'm kind of fine with that because I can't think of a feature that I want added.
And that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Thunderbird works great for me. Like email client-wise, K9 Mail, I love that. I don't
understand email. I don't know if it's just because I can't be bothered, or what is it? The other reason I've not done it. I've not done it as well because it's just an extra client, but I've just stuck with a Gmail client. And
But if that works for you, that's fine.
Occasionally the
Exactly.
dot one in the Samsung put on and HTC, but they're not that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the issue. I think that an OS does not have to have an email client.
Oh no.
So you think it should just have a browser, an SMS client, and a phone dialer?
I would even question whether it really has a browser. I don't think that is a core component. You can then go into into whatever store and say, right, I want the Chrome browser, I want the Firefox browser, I want what's the one with the squirrel?
What?
There's
Squirrel browser.